Hey Mixxies! Welcome to Mixed Thoughts, a grooming podcast. It's your groomer bestie here, Ciara, coming to chat with you about the ins and outs of grooming and entrepreneurship. We'll dive into a mixture of topics with stories from myself and friends near and far. Let's navigate this journey together. What's up, Mixxies? It's your girl, Ciara, and welcome back to another episode of Mixed Thoughts, a grooming podcast. I am your host, your hostess with the mostest. Y'all, I have a little secret to tell you. Actually, it's not a secret. It's just something that I was researching and then I thought was very interesting to talk about. So I'm just going to talk about it to y'all because we are a family here. We are a community. So I just was like, I gotta tell somebody. I gotta tell y'all. So let me tell y'all what the hell is going on. I was doing research on grooming podcasts, dog grooming podcasts in specificity. Is that a word? Specificity? I think it is. I think I'm smart. But I was looking on like Spotify and like where you get your grooming podcasts, or not your grooming podcast, but your just podcasts in general, right? And I was looking up grooming podcasts that had Black people in it, like Black hosts that, or people of color that did grooming podcasts. And y'all, do you want to know what I found? Zero Black people doing grooming podcasts. And this wasn't just something that just came about because I was just like, oh, you know what? Let me see who else is doing a grooming podcast that's Black. I was also looking on YouTube. Remember in the first episode, maybe I told y'all in the first episode, or maybe it was like a YouTube video that I made, but regardless, I also was looking on YouTube to find groomers that were Black so I could like have something to reference to. But I only saw one person and she had like 2 videos that I remember. And it was of a Black Russian Terrier. That's all I saw. It was this lady, she had glasses. I do not remember her name. I do not remember the YouTube channel, but I'm sure she's still out there somewhere. But I only saw her on YouTube. And I was like, wait, this ain't true. Like, this ain't real. This ain't real life. But it really is real life, y'all. And I just was flabbergasted. I was truly flabbergasted on the fact that I only saw that one person. So I said, I have to be the change that I want to see. Okay. And what I did is created a YouTube channel geared around grooming, entrepreneurship, business sense, all that stuff. And so I did the same when it pertained to podcasts, because I do listen to grooming podcasts. I love Shit on the Table. I love Your Groomer's Pod. I think that's how you say it. There's another one, another grooming podcast with Nathan and, is it Juan? I think Juan's on that one too. And then I forget the other, the female host. I forget her name. I'm sorry, girl. But, I just started listening to that podcast and they're all great. We do have some Spanish flavor, people of color in the grooming podcast streets, but we don't have any Black grooming podcasts until now. So I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mixxies. Like, if I'm wrong, I will retract this statement right here and right now. Well, obviously not right here and right now, but I will retract the statement in another episode coming up, you know? But I want to say, it's safe to say that I am the first Black grooming podcast in the podcast streets. I need to put like some hand clapping sounds in the background or something like that. But ciao. If that is true, I am setting the tone for my further Black grooming podcasters, if you will. Like, I am the trailblazer of the Black podcasters for grooming. Like, are you serious? Is this real? Is this real? It's probably not real, but I feel like it is. So again, I'm going to say it right now, right here, right now on the Mix Clips not the mix clips. Y'all, it's late. It's 11 o'clock at night right now, and I'm recording this podcast. But Mixed Thoughts Grooming Podcast is the first Black grooming podcast to ever hit the DSPs, baby. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that. I can, actually. And I will be proud to say that I will be the first. If I'm not, please, somebody, let me know. And if you already have a podcast and you're out there, and I did not know that you were out there because the algorithm does not want to show you, please come onto the platform. Let's collab. Let's connect. Let's get together. Let's show our future. Let me say that. Let's us show our future Black groomers that they too can create a grooming podcast. Because listen, this is my third one in. Yeah, I may have a little bit of like slip ups. I may be long-winded. I may have like not the best articulate conversations, but I'm just speaking real raw and relatable. And I'm sure somebody out there can relate to what I'm saying too. So let's get into this episode, because it's not talking about me being the first Black podcaster for grooming. It's not about that. It's definitely about being a private shop or one-on-one groomer, working at a private salon. Because I'm telling y'all, this is my journey, my grooming journey, from starting grooming at PetSmart to running my own grooming business, and all that happens in between that, all of that, you know? So let's first and foremost, let's define what a private shop or a one-on-one pet grooming salon is, because I looked it up and I got some information. So let me give you the definition and the key points of a private shop. A private dog grooming salon is a specialized establishment where professional groomers provide personalized attention, calmer environments, reduced exposure to other dogs, customized services, less waiting time, and one-on-one interaction. Now, I can break all of that down for you, and I will, but I first want to tell you how I came to be a corporate salon groomer to a private salon groomer. So I'm not sure if I said it in the second or the first episode, but I kind of hit a glass ceiling. I was working at PetSmart for 10 years, almost 10 years, because when I hit my 10-year anniversary, I quit. I put my 2 weeks notice in. So I guess I was there for 10 years, but like as soon as the 10 years hit, I was like, I'm out this bitch, because I could have stayed for that 10-year mark so I could get my 4 weeks paid vacation. I was thinking about it. I was really thinking about it. Like, can I get this like month worth of vacation? And I'm gonna tell you this, they probably would not have given me the full month, the full 4 weeks in one sitting. Because if I was gone for a month, y'all, and got paid for it, baby, let me tell you where I would have been. In Costa Rica, baby, because that's on my bucket list. I do want to go to Costa Rica, Aruba, Paris. There's a whole bunch of places I want to go. Let me know in the comments, or like send me an email or something like that on the places you would go if you got a month's paid vacation. I'm really intrigued. I really want to know where you would go and if you would do the full 1 month. I'm sure there's a lot of y'all out there that would do it, because like I feel like I don't know. I don't know if I would be okay with being gone and on vacation for a full month. I've never done it, so I can't tell you if I would enjoy it or not. But I feel like if it's in on a beach out of the country, not in my hometown, I think I would be okay. I probably would be okay. But let's go back. Let's backtrack. So, hit a glass ceiling. I did mention that in the last episode, I was offered to be a salon manager at my shop, at the corporate salon. And my boss, my salon manager at the time, I was making more than her because she got paid, like, I feel like she was getting paid this hour, but then again, she wasn't because, like I said, I was making more than her with my commissions and my tips than she was just getting, because she could only do 4 dogs a day, but she had to also manage the salon and do like inventory and upkeep on everything and, you know, loss prevention or whatever the case may be. I was not there to manage a team. I was there to groom dogs, make them look pretty, and be about my business and chuck the deuces and leave. That was why I was there. So, long story short, I said, I don't want to do this no more. And at the time, my best friend at the time that became my business partner, she had some type of situation going on at PetSmart where she got let go. And so she decided, she was like, oh, no. She did not get let go. She was about to get let go. So she quit before they let her go, which I personally, this is just me personally, I would have let them fire me so I could get that employment check, baby, because when you quit, they say, okay, you released yourself freely. We don't have to pay you no more, no further, no more, no less. And I'm like, I've worked a long time in this corporation. I'm going to get my reparations, honey. I'm going to get my money and y'all going to pay it. Y'all going to pay this unemployment check, okay? So I would have done it differently, but hey, I am not her and she is not me. So that's why we differ. But she left PetSmart before they could fire her, and then she said she's gonna start her own like little house call situation. She said, you can utilize this talent that I have, this trade, if you will. I can still utilize it and do it in my home. So she started not grabbing, but she started getting people, clients of hers that probably followed her, or she just started like letting people know word of mouth that she was grooming in her home. And when she couldn't, she had very few clients. And so she said, she needs a job. I was like, yeah, makes sense. So she started to work at the private shop that we obviously further down the line, we both started working at. So I have this thing where I know if I'm going to leave a job, I need to have another one right on deck. And so she told me that she was working at this private salon, and she was like, you should come work here because the salon owner is very cool, very chill, and she needs people. So I was like, all right, Lo, let me have like an interview with her and ask her if it's, if I would be able to groom the dogs there and whatever the case may be. Got an interview. The interview was to groom a dog at the salon. I could bring a dog, or she had one of her clients and then I could groom. I think I did both. I groomed one of my dogs and then I groomed one of her dogs. She liked what she saw and she hired me. So my friend at the time already worked there, so she was showing me the ropes, and she was actually giving me like a full course, like a quick course on like how they do things, because how they do things in the salon is totally different than they do at corporate salons. So I think I'm going to stop my story and then I'll go into depth about the, descriptions of what a private salon entails, and then I will go back to finish my story because it will probably make more sense after I give you all the details of all of the information about what a private salon does. So I first started saying that it's a person, like they provide personalized attention, and when they say that, they say private salons typically have fewer clients at any given time, allowing groomers to focus more on your dog. This individualized attention ensures that your pet's specific needs are met. And that is true. That is true. When you're at a corporate salon, they will have in one slot, you have like maybe 2 or 3 dogs that you have to kind of rotate through. So like at corporate, you have to, like, say for instance, I had like 3 Shih Tzus in one slot. I would check those dogs in, then I would go one by one. If they were in the same house, maybe sometimes I would wash the dogs together and then towel dry them, kind of like blow dry them a little bit to get like the wetness off of them to be like 75% dry, maybe 65% dry. And then I would put them in the kennel. The ones that you can kennel dry, you will put the kennel dryer on them. The ones you can't, you just like put the towel on them and let them air dry. Not the best, but that's what you could do at corporate. And then you take the next dog that was in that same slot and then you start washing and drying that dog. So I would take the one dog and wash and dry all the way through, and then I would get the other dogs, finish drying them and start their haircut. And then once I finished the one dog, I would do the other one and then follow through, because now all the dogs are dry. So you might as well just bit by bit handle the one dog after the other. And it's kind of like a conveyor belt of dogs that you have to get groomed. So yeah, that's kind of how I did it at PetSmart. But at this private shop, there were dogs that were allowed to be like out and about. Not all the dogs were in kennels because there weren't that many dogs. So like you could have anywhere from, some dogs would be in a kennel just to air dry or to kennel dry. And honestly, they didn't care what kind of dog it was. They would kennel dry it. Now, that is a little controversial because we'll get into it a little bit later, but they are lax with their rules when you're in a private shop because they make their own rules. Corporate doesn't control you, and I started from a corporate background, so it was kind of weird for me to put a kennel dryer on. Now, I would not do this, but I've seen them, and I'm not going to say listen to my Patreon because I'm going to make a Patreon episode about this, and the salon no longer exists. Like, the name of the salon no longer exists. It's no longer a salon because they got bought out by somebody else. But I will go more into detail on it. So I'm not going to say names or like the salon. But this certain salon and certain groomers, they would put kennel dryers on like hard to, like, difficult breathing dogs, like bulldogs, bully breeds, smushed face dogs. They would put kennel dryers on the dogs. And I'm like, y'all shouldn't be doing that. Y'all doing that? That's okay for y'all to do? They're like, oh yeah, it's going to dry the dog faster. They didn't even care. I was like, in corporate, you can't be doing that. And then they will always come back to me like, you're not in corporate anymore. And I'm like, I feel you, but like, I feel like this still shouldn't be done. So sometimes I would take the dryer off the dog, even though it was not my dog, and I would try to towel dry it as best as possible, and then leave it like to air dry, because that just did not sit well with me. But that's because it's a private shop. Now, they were, like I said, there were dogs in the kennels, but there were a lot more dogs just out and about and just chilling. Now, some of these dogs, if they were a little aggressive, they would not be out and about. But the ones that were cool and they were friendly with the other dogs, they were able to be out and about while we're still grooming. I was not used to that. Obviously, we had no dogs running around in the corporate salon. But I thought it was fine because it was less stress on the dog, because some of them have separation anxiety, and a lot of them don't want to be groomed. I'm just going to say it like that. And That is very true. That goes for corporate salons, house call, mobile. Well, I mean, house call, yeah, still, you're in your house, but you still don't want to be groomed. Like, ain't nobody asked you to come into my house and groom me. But I digress. That was something that I had to get used to, the fact that there were just dogs all over the place. But I was comfortable with the fact that I was able to take my time and no one really rushed me. I mean, clients would call and they'd be like, well, how much longer? How much longer? And I'm like, the sooner I get it done, the sooner I will let you know your dog is done. You keep calling me, I have to stop the groom and answer the phone to tell you how long the dog's going to be. So, other than that, I did have like more time to perfect the groom and make it comfortable for the dog so they're not stressed out while I am grooming them. So that made me feel better and it de-stressed me a whole lot because I'm not trying to do a whole conveyor belt situation again. If that was the case, I would have stayed at PetSmart, you know? So I was appreciative that they do focus more on like individualizing the dog and their attention, like taking care of them specifically, other than like, okay, I got these 3 dogs to do, let me do this one and then drive this one and then give this one a haircut and then like switch around. Like that can be very stressful. So appreciate that. The calmer environment, I already kind of touched on it, but unlike larger commercial grooming facilities, private salons tend to be quieter and less chaotic. Dogs can feel more relaxed and less stressed during their grooming sessions. And yes, that is true. Like I said, they were roaming around. Some of them would lay down and take naps. Other ones would just bark at the other dogs to like play with them. We did have some toys out and about, not too many because some dogs can get aggressive with toys and be very territorial, so we don't want to add any aggravation and start any fights, but we did have toys here and there. We did allow dogs to bring their toys. Like there was this one dog, her name was Mango, and she had this little dog, like this really cute stuffed animal dog bone, and she would carry it around everywhere she went. She was a yellow lab. Oh my gosh. She's so freaking cute. Hopefully she's still alive. I'm not sure. But Mango was the sweetest baby. She would get on the table when you asked her, but still had her dog bone in her mouth. And I'm like, Mango, will you give me your bone? And she would look at me and just like, she would just stay there. And I'm like, drop it. She would never drop it. And it was so cute. So like things like that just made it a lot easier for me to get the grooms done, do it efficiently, and still do it with a smile on my face, because there would be times in corporate that I was so annoyed and aggravated because I was stressed out because I had like kind of like a deadline and I had dogs back to back to back, and then there would be times that another dog in my next spot would come early, and I'm just like, I still got these dogs to finish. So like I would have to stop what I'm doing, put the dog down that was on my table, put them down, go to the client and check them in, check the dog from head to toe, do hop, hands on pet. I don't know if y'all did that in corporate, but hands on pet is hop. And just see if there's any lesions, scars, open wounds, anything, that we're not aware of before they come into the salon. But I would have to do all of that and then bring the dog to the back. Sometimes I would like prep by washing the dog real quick and towel drying it and like letting this in the kennel. Sometimes I would just leave it in the kennel until I finished the other dog. And that could be stressful because I don't personally like to leave dogs in kennels, especially if they don't go into kennels in the house on a regular basis. So stuff like that just made me anxious, but not at the private shop, because I was just like, not so much of like a lack of urgency, but it was lax, like very calm and laxed environment for sure. The next detail is reduced exposure to other dogs. Now, that's why I was like, it's iffy because I just said, and every salon is different. Like, let's be clear on that. Every salon is definitely different, but this one in particular, they allowed the dogs to be out and about and chill and do whatever they wanted. It wasn't always a bad situation. There were times where the dogs would try to fight each other, and then we would have to either put them in another room or put them in a kennel and then wait until, their pet parent came and then, tell them what was going on. And there was never any fights that showed like broke skin or, was too aggressive where we had to pull the dogs apart for me, but it could get to that level. So like proceed with caution when you have just dogs out and about in a private shop. But yeah, in a private salon, your dog will encounter a large number of other dogs. This minimizes the risk of exposure to illnesses or behavioral issues from other animals, which is totally true. So PetSmart doesn't want any dogs having a kennel cough or any other like underlying like medical complications. So disinfecting was always a thing, cleaning out a kennel after that one left. That wasn't always the case, but there were attempts to make sure that was taken care of, But with private shops, it's more so like we know that there's not as many dogs in there as it is in a corporate facility, so they are more inclined to be able to let the dogs roam free or have dogs that are kind of like an express appointment. I mean, they have that at corporate salons as well, but they pay an extra fee. With a private shop, I don't necessarily think that they charged for express services, so it was more so just let me get your dog done. It will be done within 45 minutes to an hour versus a 3 to 4 hour span of time. So yeah, those were a little bit of the differences, which in a sense wasn't too bad, but it just depended on like the day and what kind of dog was in the shop. So yeah, things to take into consideration. The next one is the customized services. Private groomers can tailor their services to your dog's unique requirements, whether it's a specific haircut, special shampoos, or handling preferences. They can accommodate your request. And I do believe that to be true. Like I said, the express service, they're not going to charge you more for the express. They're just going to be like, okay, we'll just do it in and out. Just stay here or be around the area. So when your dog is done, we'll call you and let you know your dog is done and you can grab your dog. Other times they'll be like, I need my dog to have their dog bed with them in the groom, and they would facilitate. So it's kind of a more luxury service, like more of a like I say, one-on-one service to accommodate and make it more comfy, more calming, more accommodating. So without all that sterileness and stuffy, like uptight kind of attitude that a corporate salon would have. Not mine so much because we were nice and friendly, but that's not always the case on every salon. But, stuff like that, they customize your experience for your dog just to make them more comfortable. And I think that's why a lot of clients or pet parents go to like a mom and pop shop, or they go to like a specialty luxury private shop, because the convenience of accommodating me and my dog's needs is of high importance in a grooming salon of that magnitude. So something to consider if you are looking to take your dog to a private shop, or you are deciding that you want to be a part of a private shop. Okay, the next one would be less waiting time. Since private salons handle fewer clients, you're less likely to experience long wait times. Appointments are often scheduled more efficiently. Now, I'm going to say it can be a true statement, but not always the case, because sometimes you get overbooked. because in my salon, my boss, she would just be like, oh, what kind of dog do you have? Oh yeah, you could come in at 4 o'clock. And sometimes it would just be me and her, and I'm like, girl, what you talking about? You gonna come in 4 o'clock, you grooming the dog? Because I already got a full book of dogs. I already got like 6 dogs here. Not 6 dogs here, but I have 6 dogs booked. So I'm like, you're adding another dog? I'm not doing that dog. I'm not doing that dog. I didn't ask to do that dog, and you didn't ask me if it was okay to do that dog. Those will be some like underlying things that you have to take into consideration, because you have to realize that the boss runs the show. So kind of, if they want to add another dog or two to your books, they're not going to even question it. They're not even going to think twice to do it. They're just going to do it. But I'm a very vocal person, and I'm like, hey, I speak up for myself. I can't do that dog. So if you're going to do it, cool. But if you're expecting me to do it, you better call them and tell them, actually, a groomer is booked up, so we're going to have to reschedule you. And that's not going to be my fault, because I didn't tell you that I was able to do that dog. So yeah, things like that can be a little iffy. Or if you're going to make me do that dog, I'm like, well, it's going to be 4 hours. Like, it's going to be a longer time than you're expecting. And not a lot of the private shop clients like that, because they're like, oh, I don't need to wait that long. It doesn't take that long. Well, it's booked today, so it's going to take me a little bit longer because I have other dogs that came before you to facilitate. So that right there is like, it can be true, but not always the case. There will be times, especially around the holiday season, that, that boss wants to make some extra coinage, and I'm not mad at that. But knowing that we take less dogs than a corporate salon, don't push it to expect us to get all these dogs done in a timely manner or a safe manner, because some accidents will happen because you want us to rush through and get all these dogs done. And I'm not in the business of cutting a dog on purpose. Okay? So yeah. Something to consider on that. And the last thing is one-on-one interactions. Your dog gets undivided attention from the groomer, which can lead to a more positive grooming experience, which I can agree to, but I can agree to on both. Nah, never mind. Like, giving a nice one-on-one experience for corporate salon and for private shop, I will say that I do that because I want quality over quantity. So that's just my personal preference on that. But if you're talking about like a private shop specifically, yeah, the one-on-one interaction is key, and that's the main reason why people come to private shops, is to have that one-on-one interaction, especially for dogs that are seniors, that are anxious, that could be puppies, that want that express service, and their pet parent is anxious and nervous. Those one-on-one, groom sessions, they're key. There's something that you want to consider if that's what you're looking for. Definitely go to a private shop for that, because it's not always going to be the case at a corporate shop that they want to accommodate you in that way, because they trying to bring all the dogs in. Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs into the salon? Too many cooks in the kitchen, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, those are the details of what a private salon specializes in and consists of. I'll go a little bit more deep into my journey of being in a private shop. It was, like I said, it was very different from the corporate living or the corporate life, because I had to change the way I think about like structure. It wasn't that much structure in that salon until my friend and I started working there and saying, okay, we can't function like this. Can we make the schedule like this, that, and the third? Because our boss at the time would literally just have this whiteboard and at the, in the front of the salon and just write down the dogs for the day and write people's initials like on the dogs to do. And I'm like, I don't know how that works. Like, she would count all the dogs and she would just be like, okay, you can have this, you can have this, you can have this. And I was just like, yeah, that could be beneficial, but not all the time. And then another thing was, she didn't allow people to have request dogs. She was like, everybody can groom here, so no one should have request dogs. And we had to tell her real quick, fast, in a hurry that is not the case, because everybody does not groom the same. Everybody's caliber of grooming is not the same. And you could tell that person groomed that dog versus I groomed that dog. You know what I'm saying? So I would get a lot of clients asking me, oh, the person who did it last time, can they do it? And she would first say, oh, we don't do that here. We're just, your groomer today is going to be such and such. And some people actually had pushback about that. And I don't blame them, because if I go to a hair salon, if I go and get my hair done and I like what my stylist did, I'm going to ask for her every time. I'm not going to be going to, I feel like that could be like a supercuts or like a hair cuttery type of situation. I don't know. I got ethnic hair. I don't let no hair cuttery. I did it once and I will never do it again, because I was like, yeah, this is not the salon that I need to be in to get my hair done, especially if you don't know ethnic hair. That's another story for another day. But yeah, I'm not gonna, if I like what they did last time, I'm going to want to go to that same person. I'm not going to want to go into the salon and be like, oh, you're not going to get your hair done by that person today. You're going to go get your hair done by Susie today. And I'm like, I don't want Susie. I want Jessica. You know what I'm saying? So there would be pushback with that. And she had to start giving in. And when my friend and I started doing the schedule, we did it in a structured way that was time blocking. She would just randomly have dogs come in and just be like, yeah, you can come in. You can come in an hour. And I'm like, but who's grooming that dog? There's certain grooms that are more intricate and detailed than like a shave down. But my boss, she would just do shave downs. And I'm like, oh, that's your thing. You're like the shave down queen. You're not like, I want this dog to look like something, because that's me. I want your dog to look fluffy and cute and like it got a home to go to when it's done here. Not like it was a shelter dog and it's looking for a home. It has a home already. I want it to look like that. You know what I'm saying? Unless the pet parent is asking, hey, take my dog short. And then I'm going to do that all day. Like, not a problem. But yeah, we had to switch up a lot of things. And the back of the salon where all the equipment was, all the shampoos, she had a washer dryer there, so we would wash the towels there. It was things that were just all over the place, and it was just little discombobulated, and that gave me like anxiety, because I'm like, I'm looking for a particular shampoo and I can't find it because you put it over here or you put it in the bathing area and you didn't bring it back, and it's just like all discombobulated and not all the way clean. So we did a chore list. I'm so glad that I started at a corporate salon and then transitioned into a private shop, because I know the structure. I know what tasks need to be done, what maintenance needs to be done, how to do time blocking on dogs, how to block off certain dogs for the big dogs. Because she would have us do like Newfies, and then she have 3 Shih Tzus that would come in and be like, oh, somebody picked the dogs. I'm like, what? I'm doing a Newfie. And if you don't know what a Newfie is, it's a Newfoundland. It's a big, behind, hairy ass beast of a dog that has undercoat and just big ass paws and drool for days. So I'm going to be with that dog for a good 3 hours at least. I want to say a good 4 hours, but like sometimes I could get it under 3. But yeah, she had to learn how we do things, and then we had to teach the groomers that were already there how things should be done. And they didn't like that. But the fact that we were making things efficient and having more clients come, because they didn't have a lot of clientele until we got there, because we knew how corporate was done, how it was ran, and we knew how to market ourselves. We gave incentives, we recommended certain hairstyles for the client's lifestyle, comfortability, and she also had like merchandise that she could sell. She had dog treats, she had toys, she had collars, leashes, dresses, harnesses, things like that. She had like a little boutique in the front of the salon. It was like a little boutique, and then in the back was the salon. So we're like doing upcharging, and we're selling, like we're actually marketing things, because we've done this already in corporate. Because they always tell you to do an add-on. Is you need to do an add-on so you can get more sales, and you can get yourself more sales with the commission, because you can get paid for what you sell. So the incentivizing of the merchandise in the boutique and our grooms, she had to start raising them prices, honey. Okay. And she liked what she was seeing, that we were willing to do more work just for better quality purposes, but we needed to show her like, okay, we have to actually take our time with this, and like, let's plan this out accordingly, especially on the weekends. Like, everything seemed very chaotic in the morning, because like 10 dogs would come into the salon at like once, and then she would divvy them up. I was like, no. We already know the dogs that are coming in the next day, because they will book appointments for like whatever day they were looking for, right? So we already have a bird's eye view of what's going on. Let's plan our day before we have to plan it when we get here. So we would do a whole like breakdown of like, we have all these dogs, let's see how many they are and see how many each groomer can do at that time frame, and then we divvied it that way. So it was just easier and faster and more efficient. So yeah, it was very interesting for me to tell my boss how to run her business, and then that turned into her wanting me and my friend to take over her business. Now, this, I'm going to just touch on this just a little bit, because I'm going to dive deep in the Patreon. So if you want to be part of the Patreon, it's either going to be a Patreon, or it's going to be like a paid like membership that you have to get in order to get the exclusive content, because I ain't gonna be spilling all the good tea. You gotta pay for that good tea. I'm sorry. That's just how it needs to be, because like, I'm spitting out gems and I'm giving you like solid information. But if you want the tea of the tea of the teas, oh baby, you're gonna have to work for that. You're gonna have to pay for that, okay? So I appreciate you if you do want to be a part of that membership in that community. Like, you're in for a treat, because that story is juicy. But let me just touch on like she wanting us to take over her business, because she didn't want to do it anymore. She was more of she bred and showed mastiffs. So she had 2 mastiffs at the time, and she was just like, and her daughter was riding horses. So she was just like, I don't want to be here. She literally was saying, she was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do grooming anymore. She was just like, this is not my thing anymore. My thing is shows and like horse riding and all that stuff, and having a farm. I don't want to be in the salon all the time every day. And I'm like, I don't blame you, but you decided to have this business. So girl, you're going to have to run this business. So she would like kind of get us to be the managers in a sense, but like, she had a groomer that was there way before us, and that groomer was having some type of a hissy fit and was not very excited when she wanted us to like kind of manage things or help the groomer, because she made her salon manager. We'll say that. But she kind of wanted us to supervise her. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. Either you let her be salon manager or we'll be the salon manager and we'll take care of the things, you know? And it just turned out to be kind of funny. But all in all, the way she ran things, it just needed to be restructured. So when she offered us the salon, we were like, if we are going to do this, a whole lot of things need to change. Like a whole revamp of the back, a whole revamp of the front, a whole revamp of how things are being paid. And the money situation was very bizarre. My paychecks, the payroll was different. We would get paychecks, but was it direct deposit? I would get direct deposit, but there was times that like she didn't get, not times, there was only 2 times. I'm not going to be exaggerative, but there was 2 times where I didn't get paid my correct amount for that week, right? So I told her, I was like, yo, I didn't get my whole pay. And she would go into the register and she would take it. She was like, oh, what else do I owe you? And I'm like, honestly, I don't know, because taxes get taken out. And she was like, well, what groom did I miss? Like, there would be certain grooms that didn't go through, I guess, from some type of payroll. I don't know specifically, because she used Squarespace, but she also did cash payments as well. And then sometimes she even did checks. And then sometimes she had friends where she was just like, that's fine, just go. And wouldn't pay, like, I wouldn't groom the dog, but she would groom the dog, and she would just be like, it's fine, just take the dog, and they wouldn't pay. So I was like, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. And you want me to take over the business, and you expect people, and you think that people are going to just, oh, she just lets me bring the dog in and I get a shave down and I pick it up. Oh, baby, she ain't gonna be the manager no more. She ain't gonna be the boss no more. So you're gonna have to pay the piper. Okay, pay the piper. Period. So I was a little iffy on how that went down, but there was a time where I told her, I was like, I didn't get paid for this groom. And so she was like, well, how much was it? And I would tell her, and she would just go into the register and take the money out and give it to me. I was like, man, what you doing? What's going on? So yeah, when I tell you the lackadaisicalness of like the salon, it was a little iffy for me. I'm not gonna hold you, because like I was not used to that. Obviously, corporate salons do not do that. I did come up short when I was working at PetSmart and they didn't pay me the right amount, and then I told them, and then they're like, okay, we'll just go on to your next paycheck. I said, hold up, time out, because Uncle Sam takes the taxes out of my paycheck, right? Takes the taxes out of my paycheck, takes the Social Security out that I probably never will get, and they take out my 401k money, because I put in for retirement. So they did all that. So the more you make, the more they take. And so they took what I was owed in that check prior and they put it into my other check. So they're taking more money out of my check because y'all made the mistake. I said, oh, that don't make no sense. So I kind of was appreciative when she did go into that register and she just gave me the money, because I wasn't getting taxed from you putting it onto my next check like PetSmart did. So yeah, there could be pros and cons for sure, but the environment definitely was different. Having the other groomers, they kind of did whatever they wanted to, and we didn't really have a break room. We had a little area where there was a mini fridge, a sink, and there was this like table, this like small like wooden table with 2 chairs, And we would just sit around there and eat our lunch if we could. Sometimes I would eat in my car because I didn't want to be around everybody, and I was in the salon all day long. I needed some fresh air, so I would get out and go in my car. So yeah, stuff like that was very interesting. I was like, could I do something different if it was my salon? Like, as far as like a little lunch area, like she did what she could with the space that she was provided. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would utilize another area so that the groomers would have more space to sit, and have lunch. But the groomers that she had at the time, there was a hot mess, honey. They thought they ish didn't stink. They thought they was God's gift to grooming. And they wanted to tell you about yourself. And then when you told them about themselves, they had an issue. So it was a little interesting navigating those groomers. But I will tell you this, they couldn't take it no more, so they quit. But that's the weird part. That's like, I'll get into the pros and cons in just a minute. But like, one of the cons of that is like, groomers can just quit at the drop of a dime, and you have to pick up the slack. Like, this one girl had a conniption fit and she left in the middle of her shift. Didn't come back until the next day and thought she was going to come back and was all hunky-dory and she was just going to keep her job. Oh no, baby, you just left it was job abandonment, and you left the rest of your work to your fellow groomers. That's unfair. That's very unfair, and that's disrespectful and unprofessional. So yeah, I don't like that. But like, corporate, there's more groomers. We had maybe a tops of 5 groomers in there, not all at the same time either. It would be either like on the weekends it would be like 5 of us, which was very hectic because it was a small salon, or on the weekdays it would be like 2 to 3 of us. And it's just like, this is very interesting. If someone just like decides they don't want to show up for work today, like, now we got extra work to do. Yeah, it was very, very interesting. I will say that. But I think it was cool because my boss was very, very friendly and just really cool, chill, laid back woman. Her husband was the other owner, so like, it was a family-run business for the most part. And she even let us go to a grooming convention. She paid, granted, it was only 3 of us, so that was pretty cool that she was able to do that. That shows you she was making some money, honey. Maybe not specifically in her salon, but she was making money otherwise, other places. But she took 3 of us to Atlanta to go to the Jordanes Artero Grooming Expo that just started coming to the United States when we went there. So that was, I want to say 2018. I think it was 2018 when we went. But I thought that was pretty cool that she paid for our flight. We stayed at one of her siblings' houses, which was fine. Like, they had a big house, but she paid for the tickets for us to attend the grooming convention, all of that. I thought that was amazing. And then when we were done, we did some leisure activities and we went to a strip club. We went to the oldest strip club in Atlanta, y'all. It's called the Claremont Lounge, and I got a shirt. I'm not wearing it today, obviously, but I got a shirt from the Claremont Lounge, and it says, "I saw your mama dancing at the Claremont Lounge." I was like, what? This is wild, but it was a good time, y'all. Like, the fact that she was that cool of a boss to let us go to a strip club with her, and while we were doing like a work trip, I said, this is dope. Like, you can't get this in a corporate salon. Like, they're going to encourage you to go to grooming expos and trade shows and things like that, but they ain't going to pay for it. And they're not going to take you to a strip club after you're done. They're not. So I did appreciate that, and I'm glad that I got the opportunity to be a part of something like that, because that's kind of like a once in a lifetime thing. Because I'm going to tell you this right now, and I know y'all probably in the comments that are private shop, groomers, y'all boss probably never did that for y'all. And if they did, shout out to them, because they're the real ones. But put it in the comments if you ever had a boss pay for you to go to a grooming convention or expo or anything like that, because I'm interested in knowing that, because I know that's not always going to be the case, especially like small business. It's a small business. Private shops or mom and pop shops, they're small businesses, and they're not going to make money like that to be taking all of their groomers or majority of their groomers to grooming conventions out of the state. We were in Atlanta. I live in New Jersey. Yeah, that's not always gonna be something that happens to a groomer working at a private shop. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. So I did have a cool boss. She had her quirks, she had her hang-ups, but all in all, she was a very, very great groomer and a great boss. I'm still like in contact with her too. So shout out to you, girl. I don't want to say her name because it's like, I don't need to say her name. She knows who she is. But shout out to her. Shout out to you. Let's get into the pros and the cons, and then we'll, final thoughts on all of this. So some pros is a lax environment, like I have stated previously. Slow and calm flow of the grooming. At times, it can pick up during the holiday season, or somebody won't call out or quit. It could get a little crazy, a little cray. Grooms can be more one-on-one instead of rushed and back-to-back. We have established that already, yes. You can take breaks when you want to. That was a plus for me as well. I was like, all right, I have a break in my day. I've done all my dogs. I don't get another dog, or I'm done my grooms for today unless somebody calls in, and then I'll, take them as a walk-in. You get a lot of walk-ins as private shop groomers as well. I forgot to mention that versus corporate. It's a hit or miss. You rarely get walk-ins unless you are dead. Unless your salon is dead, no one's in there, and somebody calls them like, hey, are you taking any clients today? Yes, come in right now. That's very rare though. Private shops, that is not rare. People will call you all the time, every day, and they'll be like, hey, can you fit me in? And then most times they're going to be like, yeah, come in. Just come in. So there will be times where I have a long break in the day, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go on break. I'm going to go get me some food, and I'll talk to y'all later. I'll see y'all when I get back. And they weren't really like, yes, you get a 30-minute lunch. That's what, the workforce says that you need to have if you're working for somebody. But she wouldn't be like on our asses about like, oh, get back here in 30 minutes. She's just like, all right, if dogs come in, we'll check your dog in, or whatever the case may be. And if you didn't have any dogs, she'd be like, all right, let me know when you get back, or just we'll see you when you get back. So I did appreciate that I was like, oh my God, I don't have to rush back to go and groom a dog. I can just go and groom whenever I want to. Or there'll be times that like I will groom a dog, put the dog down, go in the back and grab me some fries, or eat me like a couple spoonfuls of something and just go back to work. And I thought that was kind of cool, because you don't always get to do that. Or you barely, like, I want to say 5% of the time you get to do that in a corporate salon. But yeah, it's way more lax, and like the comfortability is there, which is great. And you can also leave or close early if it's slow. So there was a couple times that it was dead in there, and it was maybe like 2:00 in the afternoon, and sometimes she would be there, sometimes she wouldn't be there. And we're like, there's nobody calling, there's no one coming in. Can we go home early? And she was just like, call me back in an hour and let me know how it's going. And we're like, all right, fine. Like, she wants to get her money's worth. I get it. Like, but if there's nobody there, she's still got to pay for the lights. She's still got to pay for the water. She's got to pay for electricity. So she's like, and she's not trying to like just let us sit here and not get paid. You know what I'm saying? We get paid commission. Still got paid commission. So we would gauge like, hey, maybe we're getting to go home early. And most times she would be like, how's it going? And we're like, we haven't gotten any phone calls since. She's like, all right, close up. And we would close up. And I would be like, that's what's up. Let me be out. Let me go home. I get to do some things. Like, what? It would be a glorious thing. So those are the pros. I did appreciate that. And I was just like so excited that that happened in that setting, because I was like, I was not familiar with that in corporate. So love that for me. But the cons, there are some cons. Now, these are pros and cons for me. This is not going to always apply to every private shop, because not all private shops are the same. I just want to put that out there as a disclaimer, because I don't want y'all thinking that like that's going to be every salon if you're looking to go to a private shop. It's not always going to be the case. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Cons, not much structure. Yes, again, I talked about that. Like the time blocking was an issue. How many dogs came in at one time was an issue. The clients are unsure of the time frame. They're like, oh, last time the person did it, they got it done in an hour. Why is it taking so long? I have to pick my kid up from school. I can't like leave my dog there. And I was like, yo, if you got a problem with that, you can come pick your dog up right now. And then you can come another time to get your dog groomed the way you wanted to get groomed. Because I'm not going to have y'all sitting here and badger me, call me every 5 minutes, talking about when's my dog going to be done, when's my dog going to be done. Your dog could have been done if you stopped freaking calling me. How about that? How about that? You know? But I didn't like that so much. Also, I couldn't, and I made sure that I was vocal about this, and she kind of switched it up, but like I couldn't have a say on the dogs that I wanted to groom. But like I said, that changed real quick, fast in a hurry after I told her, I said, listen, I got request kinds, and they're not gonna come in here and just have anybody groom their dog. They only came in here to see me. So you need people to have request dogs, and let that be okay. And then she let up, and then people started having request dogs, which was a beautiful thing. And my last con is unpredictable on when you can leave for the day. So I said there was pros that like I can leave when I want to, but the caveat of that is sometimes it's unpredictable when you get to leave, because it could be a really busy day when we're swamped and I'm trying to clean up and be out, but the other person still there. There will be times where there was a one groomer that she was pretty cool. She was just like, go, I'll close up everything. I said, you sure? She was like, yeah, it's fine. Just clock out, not clock out, get rid of everything, like clean up the most things that like you've done, and then I'll finish up and lock up and be done. And I was like, okay, I got you. But then there will be other times we can leave, and I'm just sitting here like, what the hell? Like, can I go? Can I not go? I'm confused. Like, let me know that I can leave. But yeah, that's the only thing that was, and then it didn't happen often, so I wasn't tripping about that, but like I didn't like it that it was unpredictable on the times where I get to leave for the day. So all in all, I love the convenience and freedom of creating my own grooming schedule and how many dogs I wanted to groom in a day, because like I said, I made sure that I had that conversation, and we gonna make this right. We're gonna switch that up. We're gonna switch that narrative, because baby, I'm not comfortable with just grooming somebody's dog that like Michelle groomed her dog or whatever the case may be. Like, let me have the autonomy on grooming the dogs that I want to groom. Things can be so much smoother that way. So I do love that convenience. It's very lax and chill. That could be a gift and a curse, but like, hey, for the most part, it was a gift. I loved how friendly and welcoming my boss was. Like I said, taking us to the grooming conventions out of state and no cost to us. Like, she paid for all of it. I mean, we did pay to like have our own food. Like, we went and bought like food. We went out for dinner. So like, she's not going to pay for our drinks and dinner like we did that, but she paid for our flight and our stay. Okay, and our convention ticket, because that thing was a little pricey. And I said, oh, she got it? I know that's right. I know that is right. Let's do it. I'm here for that. Also, I appreciated her trust in my grooming capabilities and my business professionalism, because that's the reason why she wanted me and my friend to take over her shop and run it. Again, listen to the Patreon or my membership tier to hear that story. I also appreciate the fact that she allowed me to groom my clients from PetSmart, and I could still run my business on the side. Now, yes, I will go into this in the next episode, because the next episode I'm going to tell y'all about how I started my mobile grooming business, like as a mobile groomer. But my friend, I told you, she was grooming in her home, but like she didn't sustain a good clientele because she was just starting. She was getting the word of mouth to like start her own thing. Like, I was not in the mix at this time. Like, she asked me to work at the private shop, and then she asked me a little bit during, but still like while we were still at the private shop, if I wanted to do the mobile grooming with her, like start a business together. And I was like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I can see us doing that. But what I will say, this is the only reason that this was able for us to happen. And this is not always going to happen, y'all. This is not, I repeat, this is not going to always happen. This is just a special situation for us. We were unicorns in this situation. I'm going to tell you that right now, because if I were to tell somebody else that's running a grooming business that I have a mobile grooming business, they would be like, what do you think you're doing? You think you still gonna groom at my shop and groom and have your dogs? Not happening. But she was cool about it, because all she pretty much said, she was like, I just don't want you to compete with my business. And I was like, got you, because here's the thing. There would be some clients that didn't want to do the mobile, and they just was like, let me just come to your salon. Or there were some clients of mine and my friends, they would say, hey, those times don't fit me. Like, when else can you squeeze me in? And I'm like, can't squeeze you in right now doing mobile, but if we work at a private shop, if you want to go to the private shop, we can handle you there. And we got to keep our prices the same. We got to say the price won't change from mobile to the private shop because you're our client. But at the end of the day, my boss, she was still making money because we were bringing the client to her establishment, and they were still paying her, even though we got a commission. So it was a win-win, and we were very strategic on how to do it, because we didn't want to, mess up the money. We ain't trying to mess up the flow. And the fact that we were a mobile grooming business and she was a private shop, she was like a brick and mortar, I think it was easier for her to be just like, yeah, that's fine, just don't, do not compete with my business. And we didn't, because we actually added to her business. So, and we never took her clients that were in the shop, and we never took them to our business. We only took our clients to her shop, because sometimes we didn't have any openings for mobile. So that was the only way that worked. So friends, don't try that at home. If it's feasible for you to work with a boss that, you know, is a brick and mortar or a private shop owner, and you're doing a mobile or a house call business, maybe that could work. But I won't bank on it. My circumstances was highly different, and it was the luck of the draw for, like, real talk. Like, that was like a once in a lifetime situation that I don't think will ever happen again. So I was just lucky. I was really lucky on all of that. But yeah, that's what I've got to say about private shops, my journey as leaving corporate and going into a private shop, and the ins and outs of that, and how that worked out for me, and how it created me to continue to build a business that I was starting while still working for her, which I thought was pretty cool. But got some questions for you. Would you work at a private shop? And if you already work at a private shop, do you like it? Did you start at a private shop, or did you start at corporate, or you started as a different type of groomer and then you went into private shop? Tell me your stories. I would love to know how that worked out for you in that situation. Are there any private shop stories that you would like to tell, or any grooming related questions or stories that you would like to tell? If you do have something to say, please send them to Mixed Thoughts Podcast. That is mixed with 2 X's at I don't remember my email. At popupoochspa.com. So I'll say that again, and then obviously I will leave it all in the show notes so you can send me an email. It is Mixed Thoughts Podcast at popupoochspa, and that's with 2 X's, not 1. And put in the subject title Mixie Stories or Mixie Questions so I can look for your emails a lot easier, because I have a flood of emails, y'all, just so you know. And I really am excited to listen to these stories or get your questions, because I will have a segment for listener letters. I will call them my mixed bag of emails, the mixed bag, and we'll read them. You don't have to say who you are. You can be anonymous if you want to. Just make sure you put that in the email. But yeah, I want to hear some stories. I want to hear some questions that you may have. I will definitely give you my input as best as I know how to. And if it's something that I don't know, I will find out and I will let you know next episode. But if y'all can do me a favor, pretty please, if you are watching on YouTube right now, hey, please like this episode. Please like this video. This is going to blast out to the algorithm that this is informative, that people want to see this podcast, that people want more of this podcast, and I can get more Mixxies out there that are like thriving and dying for this information and like this just good conversation. Also, if you are listening to this podcast on all the DSPs, wherever you listen to podcasts, could you please give me a 5-star review? That also helps me out into the podcast streets to reach more Mixxies that could utilize this information or like this good talk that I'm giving y'all right now, because I talk a lot and I have the gift of gab. But yeah, those are just some house rules that I have for you, and it's nothing. It costs you nothing. It's free 99. Hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you are not subscribed to this channel, because you should be. Definitely should be. But thank you so much for listening, being a part of this journey with me. I just love sharing my journey of different facets of grooming. It's wild that I've had a lot of different grooming experiences in different like environments, but like hopefully someone can relate to this, you know, and that's what I'm looking for. And I'm looking for my Mixxies that just can relate with me and just vibe with this journey with me. So I hope you enjoy this episode. I cannot wait to see y'all next time. And I'm going to give you a really good episode next. It's about mobile grooming. So stay tuned for that, and I will talk to you next time.